What's going on? The Diamond K Show on firetelevision.com. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. So it has been a very a very interesting week for Joe Rogan and Spotify. The controversial commentator has apologized again after this compilation video of him using the N-word has surfaced. So Spotify and Joe Rogan on some very serious damage control. So this video that has him saying the N-word, this racial slur, 24 times in the 23 resurfaced clips recorded years ago before his deal with Spotify came about. So Rogan has issued this apology. He did it earlier Saturday morning, and he called it the most regretful and shameful thing he's ever had to talk about publicly. What's so amazing about that is you said it. It's not like it's something someone else said. Joe Rogan, you said it. So if it is, as you call, regretful and shameful, you should regret and be ashamed of yourself. Frequently, Rogan, when criticized, takes this stance of being the victim. He's the victim. When he's giving misinformation or allowing his platform to be used to give misinformation, he's still the victim. I'm just trying to have conversations. And then when you get exposed for your use of the N-word 24 times, you're still the victim. So he says that the clips were taken out of context from his 12 years of conversations. 12 years of conversations. He's saying it. It's not like it's the guest. He's saying it. And he explained that he was quoting other people in the instances using the N-word. Joe Rogan said that I know to most people there is no context where a white person is ever allowed to say the N-word. Never mind publicly on a podcast. And I agree with that now, he said. I guess you do. You agree with it now that you've been exposed for saying it multiple times. Multiple times. Rogan continued, I haven't said it in years. Instead of saying the N-word, I would just say the word. I thought as long as it was in context, people would understand what I was doing. I look horrible. Even to me, it looks horrible, he said. He continued, and the thing is, with these apologies, sometimes when you make these apologies, we talked about it with Whoopi Goldberg, when you make these apologies and you just keep going, it just makes you look worse sometimes. He says it's a very unusual word, but it's not my word to use. I've never used it to be racist because I'm not a racist. But whenever you're in a situation where you have to say I'm not a racist, you've effed up, and I clearly have effed up. Needless to say, Joe Rogan wants this to be a teachable moment. He's already dealt with the backlash from his COVID-19 misinformation. And now he's dealing with this. Now he wants this to be a teachable moment. He's coming a little bit more humbly than he did when it was the COVID-19 misinformation that had him on the hot seat. So he's a little bit more humble now. He says that I've never thought it would be taken out of context and put in a video like that. Now that it is, it really does look bad. Previously, Joe Rogan said that the Spotify management had not given him a hard time at all. He said that they don't give a F about the content and the guest on his podcast. He was talking like, I can do me. I can just do whatever I want to do. Now, Joe Rogan and Spotify have been facing heavy criticism over the last few weeks over claims of COVID-19 misinformation. We do have a pandemic going on. When you have a podcast, a platform as large as Spotify, highlighting a commentator, listen to as many people that listen to Joe Rogan, you definitely cannot do the same things that you used to do before you got your big deal, right? Now you can't, you have to move differently, Joe Rogan. You can't just get on a podcast and talk crazy and talk greasy, and there's no kind of a backlash. You have to expect it. And the situation has escalated because musicians, some big musicians, have threatened to remove their music libraries from Spotify. So, these are some acts. These are some major acts: Neil Young, David Crosby, Stephanie Stills, Grams Nash, Joni Mitchell, India Arie, just to name a few. Let me do this. Shaman Damike, let me give white folks a word of advice. It doesn't matter the context. It doesn't matter if you're quoting somebody else. Saying the N-word is going to be frowned upon. It's going to be looked at a certain way. It has an ugly, painful history, a very deep-rooted history. Now, if you look at the way some Americans have handled being told to wear masks during COVID-19, people don't like to be told what they can or can't do or what they have to do. People don't like to be bossed around, right? But Black folks have found a way to remix the N-word, to redefine it almost. It's used in songs by Black artists. It's used as a form of slang in some circles. And white people see this. I understand you see it and you hear it, right? But this is still the same word that you are not supposed to use. Even past use of the N-word by white people has a certain stigma attached to it. And you're going to say, oh, we're not a racist, or I didn't mean to use it. Racists never say I'm a racist. It never happens. And I tell people this all the time. Intention does not always reflect reality. Joe Rogan is the latest white person to be exposed for his arrogance and his ignorance on this subject. Does this mean he should be canceled? I don't think so. But Black people are definitely going to be looking at you sideways, Joe Rogan. Somebody needs to school this guy. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, at On Fire Television. Of course, you miss any episodes of our program. Very easy to get it. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, of course, the WRF Radio app, youtube.com/DJ Diamond K, or our home base, onfiretelevision.com.